I just have one question. What is going on with this season? What's going on, guys? Dick Support here, back to another video, and today we're going through my Week 5 picks. Let's just jump right in. Alright, our Thursday night game is Chicago taking on Washington. Chicago, you had the win in your hand. You had a 21-point lead against the Broncos. What happened? How did you let the Broncos come back and beat you? Up to that point, Justin Fields was playing the best game of his career. I don't get it. Washington. This is what happens when you get a toxic owner out of a franchise. Washington, they are playing solid football so far. They are 2-2, and they just took Philadelphia to overtime. So yeah, I'm going with Washington on this one. Alright, so we got Jacksonville and London this week, taking on the Bills. Wait a minute, they were in London last week. Oh right, they have 2 London games. What the heck was the NFL thinking with that? Jacksonville got back on the right track with a win against Atlanta. Meanwhile, the Bills absolutely dominated the Dolphins after the Dolphins had scored 70 points the week before. I'm going to go with the Bills on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville made it a game. 2 surprise teams this year, Houston and Atlanta. Houston just absolutely dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers. CJ Stroud, I told you he was a Rookie of the Year candidate. I told you. Meanwhile, another Rookie of the Year candidate in Bijan Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta, they're playing solid, but Desmond Ridder has to step up his play. I'm going with Atlanta on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Houston pulls this one out. Carolina taking on Detroit. Carolina and Chicago are the 2 winless teams in the NFL right now. And Chicago has Carolina's first round pick. So right now, Chicago has the first and second overall pick. Carolina has to step up their game. They did get a lead against Minnesota, but they couldn't hold it. Meanwhile, for Detroit, they're looking like the best team in the NFC North right now. They look like the favorites to win this division like a lot of people were picking in the preseason. I'm going with Detroit on this one. Tennessee taking on Indianapolis. What the heck is going on with Tennessee? They have a bad game, then they have a good game. A bad game, then a good game. Are they going to have a bad game this week? I don't know. All I know is they dominated the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals got a field goal in their opening drive, and that was it. They did not score any more points after that. Indianapolis, they forced overtime against the Rams, but gave up a touchdown in overtime. I'm going with the Titans on this one. One more thing. Anthony Richardson is looking better each week. Yes, he has things he needs to clean up, but he is looking good so far. Giants taking on the Dolphins. For the Dolphins, I had mentioned the Bills, they beat them 48-20. Meanwhile, for the Giants, what is going on with this team right now? They cannot protect Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has regressed. I know Saquon Barkley is out, but come on, you guys are better than what you're putting out on the field, or you should be better than what you're putting out on the field. Give me the Dolphins. New Orleans taking on New England. For New Orleans, they're coming off a home loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meanwhile, for New England, I don't think I have anything more to say than this is the worst loss in the Bill Belichick era. And it really has to bring into question how much longer Belichick is going to be their head coach. I think it's time to ask that question. As for this game, I'm going to go with New Orleans on this one. Baltimore taking on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, they're not only coming off a terrible loss to the Houston Texans, but Kenny Pickett injured his knee. No idea if he's going to be able to play or not. They could just take it easy because they have their bye next week. Meanwhile, for Baltimore, despite being down so many players, dominated the Cleveland Browns. Gave up 3 points the entire game. Lamar Jackson is looking really good so far. But I hate to say this, I'm going with Pittsburgh because I just don't know if Baltimore can pull off back-to-back road wins in the division. It's a tough one, and Pittsburgh does not generally lose to Baltimore at home. Cincinnati taking on Arizona. Arizona, they are putting up a fight every single week. Yes, last week was ugly, but it was the 49ers. They might be the best team in the NFL right now, so I'm just going to chalk that up to, well, the 49ers being the 49ers. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, I'm not even going to go through what happened with the Titans, but I will talk about Joe Burrow. I'm really concerned right now. I think Burrow is pushing himself way too far, and the Bengals have to step in and tell him, hey, we got to rest you, because we cannot risk having you do some serious damage, whether it's an Achilles or whatever. They have to make sure that calf is fully healthy. I'm going with the Cardinals on this one, and I'm hoping Cincinnati shuts down Burrow if he does not look any better health-wise. Philadelphia taking on the Rams. Both of these teams coming off overtime wins. Philadelphia, one of the only 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. Going with them over the Rams. Jets taking on Denver. Denver, yes, the come-from-behind win against the Bears. Meanwhile, the Jets could have pulled off a come-from-behind win of their own against Kansas City had there not been a penalty on Sauce Gardner. I still don't think that should have warranted a penalty. That's what I felt on that. As for this game, I'm going to go with the Jets. KC taking on Minnesota. Minnesota got their first win of the season last week against Carolina. KC, as I just mentioned, beat the Jets. KC, things are still not quite right with them, but they are winning. They are 3-1 right now. And I'm going to go with them over Minnesota. Dallas taking on San Francisco. Love this matchup. Love it every time these two teams play each other because it's always something to watch. San Francisco, as I just mentioned, one of the best teams in the NFL so far this year. You can make an argument that they're the best team in the NFL this year. It just looks like they have everything going right for them. Meanwhile, for Dallas, rebounded very nicely after that loss against the Cardinals. Now they have a true test coming up. I'm going to have to go with the 49ers on this one, but we're going to see who the Cowboys truly are. And our Monday night game, Packers, Raiders. Both of these teams, they are coming off division losses. Raiders, Chargers, Packers, Lions. I'm going to go with the Packers on this one. Alright guys, those were my picks for Week 5. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.